You're listening to Entrepreneur Encounter, the podcast where soft skills meet real talk for creative business owners who are building with purpose. I'm Dana, a Pinterest marketing strategist and agency owner helping wedding pros and creative entrepreneurs get seen without burning out.
And I'm Sarah, a business and team strategist who helps small teams and podcasters communicate clearly, lead with empathy, and grow sustainably. Together, we're unpacking the messy, meaningful side of entrepreneurship, from boundaries to burnout, leadership to listening, so you can build a business that actually fits your life. Confirmation as a skill has to do with effective communication. And what I'm starting to learn in customer service, and I think that helps with any business, is confirming things.
I feel that wholeheartedly. Well, my kids, because if they say yes, ma'am, I know my husband and his mama, they just want a yes, ma'am, and you go on about your day. And I'm like, what are you saying yes to? What do you agree? What do you understand here? Because y'all keep saying yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, and then we have to do the same again tomorrow or in 10 minutes. What are you agreeing to? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like active listening. You got to make sure that you're listening. You ever send a message or communicate to somebody and you feel super clear about what you said, and then days later, someone completely misunderstood it?
On a daily basis.
All the
time. Maybe on a daily basis, but that's coming from a personal background. That's from a professional background. And that's not just what I try to communicate and what they understand from me. It's also calling myself out. I've learned that what you say and what people hear are two different things. And it's a two-way street. I'll share a story real quick. I know we're just in the opener, but I was at a networking event and we were doing an active listening exercise where we're trying to speed network with the people that were there. And the guy went on and on about something. And I don't know, his fiance at the time and their dog. And somehow I heard they had a kid, a human kid, not just a fur baby. And in our, hey, what did you learn about someone, the person, I mentioned the kid. And he was like, I did not say that. And I was like, in front of everyone obviously I got called out and it was fun, but I definitely heard, I don't know why or how I heard that, but I definitely took him talking about his fur baby as a real human. Two different things.
Yeah, isn't it's crazy how our brain processes things. Obviously, there's some that react when they, hear things, and then some that have to process what they heard. It's like playing that telephone game. I remember in that elementary school, with the, you whisper something in someone's ear and then it goes down the line. And obviously at the end of the line, it's not the same thing that you said.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I want to play that now.
I know. That's why I was like, we should probably do that in some entrepreneurial way.
That would be so fun. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about confirmation because obviously communication and active listening, all of this goes hand in hand, but confirming what the other person said, that is another skill that it's going to help your business thrive, even in your personal life, your personal and your professional life. Because if you're having a conversation and you're unsure of something, you want to confirm what has been said.
Absolutely. Clearly, more so, I've ever learned a lesson than to confirm what you've heard. So if you've ever dealt with miscommunication that has cost you time, money, or in my case, sanity, this episode is going to be for you. Before we jump in, though, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss the conversations that help you grow your business and your mindset. So let's dive in.
So I had this moment actually not too long ago where a client thought I was supposed to deliver their task on a Monday. They said it was a Monday, and I thought it was a Friday, but I was in that crisis mode, like we talked about in a previous episode, oh my goodness, this is urgent. I got to get things done. But it wasn't necessarily like the end of the world. It did cause unnecessary stress. And the thing is that it could have been so avoided if we confirmed expectations clearly from the start. And typically, and obviously the lessons learned as years go by and like you learn new things. So every time that I'm working with a client or working with my team member, I confirm, like I over communicate just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Because if we're not on the same page, then yes, we're going to end up having to do things that we don't want to be doing and working late at night because now we have to do a task that should have already been done and there was miscommunication.
There's probably numerous good examples of something like that where over communicate just to confirm, but then relaying like the importance of, tools, workflows, project management systems to kind of recap conversations and make sure everything is out there in like written form just to confirm, hey, this is what we're doing. These are the deliverables and this is the due date. It takes 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, but it can save obviously hours of time later. But sometimes I feel like when I'm trying to confirm something or I'm coming from like a parenting background, like when I want my kids to confirm what they hear from me or the life lesson that we're learning together, it can kind of feel like micromanaging if you're looking from the outside in. But ultimately, the foundation is building mutual clarity so that we don't have to keep going through the same cycle again and again.
Mhm. One thing that I've learned that I do just so that everybody again is on the same page. Okay, so for my clients, we work in Asana. So any email or Slack message that comes through that has to do with a specific task, then I will just copy and paste that in the notes of that task itself so that things don't get lost in translation. And I've seen this like, when you have a CRM or whatever you have working for you and like a client emails you or your team emails you. If it's of importance, take note of those notes so that whoever has access to that project management tool, they see those notes and then everybody's kind of like on the same page. And again, that helps confirmation as well because it's going to connect intention with understanding as well.
I love that because if there's anything that I've learned when trying to express myself, clarity in the things that I do or how I support someone creates a confidence in the work that I do because there isn't second guessing. I don't have to worry about, oh man, I missed something. I got to go back and ask. If I had already done it in the first place and fill in any potential blanks with facts and not just assumptions, then there's a level of trust there and confidence really on both ends. I'm confident that I want to do a good job, and my client is confident in that I'm going to do the things that they are paying me to do,
Mhm.
or hope like their big project, their big goals for the quarter are going to be met because they're confident in that. I understand the assignment. I know what I'm doing. I'm very interested in this thing that they're outsourcing, and so I'm going to go above and beyond to make sure that it gets done.
I'm all about communication, man. I over communication is better than none. I keep saying that all the time because I would rather you over communicate with me than not. Your team or your clients may assume one thing and then, you're not able to handle the tasks at hand because you're managing a mess. But if you over communicate, what I actually like to do, if I'm in a verbal conversation with somebody and they say, this needs to be done, I repeat it back to them. And I think that's another way that can confirm, like, yes, I am actually listening to you. Like, this is what's really going on. And then so now that you're not having to manage like this whole mess that doesn't need to exist at all.
I feel like that in itself should be like, ooh, that brings a level of like knowing that I'm preventing a mess or chaotic situation
Mhm.
just already brings a peace, like peace and relaxing. My shoulders don't have to be up to my ears because I'm like, oh, it's coming. It's like a train wreck.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, here are three ways that we recommend on how to use confirmation as a skill, because I am the queen of practical ways of stretching these soft skills, putting them into practice. And the first one is active listening. I say it a lot. We shouldn't be listening just to respond. We should be actively listening to understand. And if you're just sitting there waiting for your turn to talk, you're going to miss something. So take a moment to listen fully and restate or clarify what you heard. It's like, so just to make sure I understand, you're saying you want 3 to 5 pins per day about this podcast, blah, 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 for the next 2 weeks or something along those lines. That's what I would be saying to a client. And that one sentence, that one clarification is going to help the other person feel heard, and it's going to catch any miscommunication in real time, without a doubt.
Yes, and I've noticed this like in real life, like out in the wilds, like when you do that, when you like active listen and you say that, like just to make sure I understand you're saying, you paraphrase what the other is saying, the look in their eyes, they're like, oh my goodness, like you can see that they're surprised because somebody is actually listening to them. I don't, I never understood, like, I mean, obviously we're not going to understood in a lot of things as like going into depth about like psychology and like the way that people's minds thinks, all that stuff. But it blows my mind that, you know, when you're having a conversation and then you're like, it's not a two-way street, that the person's either blank or like off in the distance. I mean, I've been there. I've been in conversations like in meetings where I'm just like, pretending I'm writing notes because I don't really care what they're saying. But I think it all depends on, again, like your audience as well. So like if you're talking to your clients, you want to make sure that you're active listening. If you are having a conversation with your spouse or your kids, like obviously you want to make sure that you're listening. But like if you're in a somewhere in a space where you don't want to active listen, I mean, why are you in that space then? Like, you know what I mean? So
That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day.
yeah, but there's so much that goes into it. And I think that we talk about this so often. And I think a lot of people forget about this. We are people, we are humans. When you're talking to your team or your clients or your potential clients, listening to them to see what they need, what are they struggling with, why are they having a hard time not completing a task, why is your client having a hard time giving you the things that you need to be able to complete a task. Like you have to listen in a way that is going to make them feel seen and heard.
I think another thing to do is to just understand what it is that you're communicating and kind of match the method to the message that you're trying to approve or understand. So some topics, some projects, they need a formal email or a letter. Others can be a quick chat on Slack. If you are someone who DMs your clients through social media, have at that. Or something else, but you have to choose the right method of communication for the moment and the type of project. A client contract should never be sent through a DM. Right? But I have a client right now that I've emailed her 3 or 4 times in the last couple weeks. I sent an invoice for a one-time project 2 weeks ago. And apparently she was out of town. Really, she wasn't even out of town. She was out of the country. She's a travel planner. But she was texting me this morning. And one, I don't like texting my clients. So I finally was like, I need you to send this in an email.
Yeah.
So I have everything in one place. And it kind of sounds like we need to hop on a call to make sure that all the ducks in a row, because she has a lot of moving pieces happening at one time and a lot of smaller projects that all have very similar timelines. And I want to make sure internally that I can get it all done and meet those deadlines and not hold her up. But I also can only do so much if she doesn't answer my emails.
Exactly.
So I always make sure that I communicate that and I try to meet them where they are. And if she sends a text message, I'm obviously not going to respond to the text message with an email. I'm going to respond to the text message, but I'm going to segue and communicate it back to, I understand we got a lot of changes. I need this all in a nice bow summary in an email so that we have it all written down and there's nothing is going to slip through the cracks, because anyone that knows me behind the scenes of Dana's desk do not expect me to respond to a text message in a timely manner
Yeah.
at all. Or if I happen to read it and I don't mark it unread, I will not remember to message you back. And that's usually the biggest issue, is I'll look at it and then I'll forget to respond to you, which is why I tell everyone, clients majority, to email me. Email me, please. It will get returned in 24 hours.
Yeah. And that's where the boundaries come in, right? Like you're setting the boundaries between your clients. And then if you have a team, that goes with the same thing. Unless like there's lines that can be crossed, but I wouldn't go that far, because then if you do that, then it's like this whole can of worms. So make sure that you set those boundaries at the beginning so that things don't happen when you don't want them to happen. And then people take advantage of you, because that can happen.
Even if it's unintentionally, I think people
Yeah.
just like, oh, well, you did it this one time, and so it'd
Yeah.
be really great if you did it again, you know? So I ask a lot of questions,
I love
and
asking
I don't
questions.
I don't mind confirming things, because I know here's what I've learned: confession time. I know my brain does not work like everyone else's. But sometimes confirming things makes me sound unsure or that I wasn't paying attention. And so I've learned how to ask questions in a different way. So I'm not asking too many questions. I'm just trying to like lump them all together and reiterate. And that's what I was kind of talking about earlier,
Mhm.
is saying it back to them. So I'm done asking questions. Now I'm going to tell you what I heard. So it's like, say it again, and then tell them again what you told them, kind of like in a speech. I want to ask my questions, whatever I can think of in my planner brain, of what potential plan ABC through Z I need to potentially be ahead of, and then regurgitate your responses so that I know that we're all on the same page. And that, to me, it feels like I'm proving I'm paying attention. So I've learned to ask better questions, and I've learned to be better about saying something back to someone so that I can like, all right, we got this. I got this. I don't have to keep coming back to you. We're good to go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I love asking questions, but like what I've learned and started doing in meetings, if I'm having like a verbal conversation, let's say that, okay, so in podcast operations, there's so many moving parts when it comes to a podcast, like many parts. And especially if you have a team of like 5 people and you're having to manage like 10 different shows and manage a team of 5. So when I'm in a meeting, like with my clients, we discuss like, okay, this is what's going to happen this week or this month. And I take notes, even though the AI note taker is there, I still take my notes. And then at the end of the meeting, I say, okay, I rephrase, I don't say it like word from word, but every task that I have to do, repeat it back to my clients. Again, that's showing I'm confirming. If there's a question in there, I'll ask a question to confirm like a certain task or a certain team member, whatever that is. Just kind of like rephrase my tasks, because I believe when I do that, again, it proves to them that I was listening and not just waiting for the note taker to come out so I can go and like look at my note taker. But showing the initiative, being confident, and showing that you are in the space and like you're active listening and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
So if you've made it this far into our episode, or really any episode, because if you go back over the years, you'll like, communication is at the top of our list and on the tip of our tongue in any conversation. So if you made it this far, if there's one thing we want you to take away from today's episode, let it be: confirmation isn't about control, but it's about building connection and confidently confirming, I care enough to make sure that we understand each other, we're both on the same page, and we're both going in the right direction.
Exactly, because that's how you build trust, with your clients, with your team, even with yourself.
Building trust with yourself, I think that is something we really didn't talk about enough or at all. So I'm going to tap into that, because your actions should match your words. And that comes with a lot of self-reflection and even over communicating with yourself. So things that we think, the things that we say become our actions, if that makes sense. And if this is too left field, you guys hopefully bear with me. But we need to trust ourselves as business owners, as leaders, that the goals that we set, because, we do big quarterly goals. And at the time of this recording, it's Q4 in 2025. And we're already thinking about 2026 and what we're going to do and how we're going to grow and expand and all these things, whether for this podcast or our individual businesses. And those big goals, we need to communicate with ourselves. What are we going to do every day, every week to take the steps to accomplish that goal? This process of confirmation and confirming works with clients, but it does also work with ourselves, because a lot of us are in the solopreneur space. We're in that transition of working for someone else and then only working for ourselves, or maybe we're juggling both. And so being accountable and being honest when clear with ourselves and our capabilities is huge to take away from this episode. Like I mentioned it in my mastermind on Wednesday. I made a joke. I was like, I'm going to make $1 million this year. Okay, but I was not clear on the action steps. Or if I'm not clear with the action steps and I don't take action, I don't confirm with myself what I actually have the capacity to do, I'm never going to make $1 million. And I'm going to feel crappy about it because I didn't make $1 million. So clarity is kindness, even if it's to yourself. Not just your team, not just your clients, not just other relationships, but you have to build trust with yourself as well as you step into the entrepreneur space, because there's a whole lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot going on over here.
Yeah, it could be scary because like stepping into a whole different world, it's different. It is different. I would say it's a different journey, and having that trust within yourself, because you're independent. You're giving yourself discipline. You're like grounding yourself. You're like, nope, you are doing this today. You can't have your cookies, and you have to do this before you get your cookies tonight. Like, you're not having somebody like, do this. These are your tasks. We talked about it last week. Like, you have to create your own list. You have to create your goals and hold yourself accountable, because if you don't, then you're not going to be here. Like, if we didn't hold ourselves accountable, we're like, whatever, like, here's a podcast, like, and not have our 10 meetings every week to discuss our goals, we would probably be stuck where we were a year ago, not knowing what in the world we're doing.
I almost mentioned all 10 meetings in my little soapbox.
But it's like, when you are doing something that you're passionate about, like, I believe it shows. And, it's going to be challenging. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because it is. There have been some tears and some trying to take naps at 2:00 in the afternoon because, like, you don't want to do it anymore.
I had to take a nap on Tuesday.
But it's like, but yeah, so I think, you could do it. Like, have trust in yourself, have like the confidence. And yes, it does take time, like, but you got this. You're going to be able to do it.
Absolutely. So on that note, if you are ready to build systems that make the kind of clarity a normal part of your everyday life and business, that's where we come in as the Entrepreneur Encounter duo. Whether you're growing your visibility through Pinterest marketing or streamlining your podcast operations and team management, we step in and help you build systems that work for you and not against you. If you're curious about what that looks like or how we can support you, all of the information is going to be in our show notes. Until next time. Thanks for spending time with us today. If something in this episode gave you a fresh perspective, share it with a friend or send us a DM. We love hearing how these conversations land with you.
And if you're curious about how soft skills can support your next season of growth, we each have more resources to share.
You can find Dana on Instagram at danas.desk.nc for Pinterest strategy and intentional marketing.
And Sarah at URembert for team development, business leadership, and podcast support.
Until next time, keep leading with purpose
and growing with intention.